My ex-fiancée announced, "I'm not signing a prenup. You either trust me or it's over." I said, "You're right." Then I canceled the wedding that night. 72 hours later, she was on social media begging me back. I knew it was going to be a hard conversation, but I didn't expect it to end everything. My name is Jason. I'm 34 years old, living in San Jose, California. I built my software company from scratch, and now it's everything to me. My work, my future, my investment. So when I sat down with Stephanie to talk about the prenup, it wasn't supposed to be a fight, just a formality, a business decision. "Steph, I just want to go over the prenup before we meet with the lawyer next week," I said gently, sliding the folder across the table to her. She didn't touch it. She just stared at me, like I'd grown a second head. "You're actually serious about this?" "Yeah," I said. "It's not about us. It's about the company. You know how much I've put into it." She cut me off. "So you don't trust me?" "That's not what I'm saying. This is standard stuff. It protects what I've already built. That's all." Stephanie's face changed. Her jaw tightened, and her eyes started to shine, not with tears, but with something sharper. "Wow. You think I'm with you for your money?" "No, Steph. Come on. Don't turn this into that." She stood up, arms crossed. "I'm not signing it." I paused. "You haven't even read it." "I don't need to read it. Either you trust me, or we don't get married. Your choice." My stomach twisted. I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw how fast the warmth had drained from her face. This wasn't just a disagreement. This was a power play. "You're giving me an ultimatum," I said quietly. She didn't blink. "I guess I am." I nodded slowly. "Okay." Stephanie scoffed. "Okay. You're right," I said, pushing my chair back. "If that's what it comes down to, then it's over." "Are you serious right now?" Her voice cracked with disbelief. I didn't answer. I just stood up and walked to the bedroom. She followed, yelling behind me. "This is insane. You're throwing away everything because of a stupid piece of paper." I opened the closet, pulled out my overnight bag, and started packing. "You think I'm a gold digger?" she snapped. "That what this is?" I zipped up the bag. "I think if you really loved me, you wouldn't be treating my business like it's some kind of threat. I spent 10 years building this. I'm not going to risk losing it, because you can't separate love from money." She froze. "I can't believe you're actually doing this." I looked at her one last time. "Neither can I." And then I walked out. She didn't follow. And for the first time in months, the silence felt like peace. The apartment was dead silent when I got back. I set my bag down, sat on the edge of the couch, and just stared at the floor. My phone buzzed, Stephanie again. I didn't answer. I opened my laptop and started going through the wedding contracts. Venue, caterer, florist, photographer, band, all booked under my name. All prepaid deposits. Some non-refundable, most not. I didn't care. I opened each email, each portal, and started the process. Cancel, cancel, cancel. The notifications rolled in. "We're sorry to hear that. Please confirm the cancellation. As per the agreement, the deposit is non-refundable." "Are you sure?" "Yes." I was sure. Stephanie's texts kept coming. The first few were angry. "Stephanie, I can't believe you're doing this. Stephanie, you're acting like a child. Stephanie, this is over a piece of paper. You're pathetic." Then they shifted. "Stephanie, let's just talk. Stephanie, please, Jason, don't do this. Stephanie." I didn't mean what I said. I turned my phone off. There's a kind of numbness that sets in when you realize something you've loved is gone. Not stolen, not lost, just not what you thought it was. That was me, staring at the screen, watching pieces of a wedding I no longer wanted fall apart with every click. It wasn't about her anymore. It was about the lie I'd been telling myself. That we were a team. That she understood how much my work meant to me. That we were in this for the long haul. But when it came down to it, she wanted control, not compromise. And that prenup wasn't just about money. It was a line in the sand. I checked off the last cancellation, some artisanal donut vendor she insisted we hire instead of a cake. Whatever. They were gone too. I sat back and rubbed my eyes. It wasn't even about the money anymore. I was going to eat nearly 18 grand in deposits. But the emotional cost of walking into a marriage I couldn't trust? Way higher. By the time the sun went down, I was sitting in my car outside Ryan's house. Ryan opened the door and blinked at me. "Dude." I didn't say anything at first. Just walked in and sat down on his couch. "She gave me an ultimatum," I finally said. "Sign the prenup, or the wedding's off." He didn't ask dumb questions. Just nodded slowly and handed me a beer. "I called it," he said after a while. "Yeah. You all right?" "No." We sat there in silence. It was the first moment in 2 weeks that I didn't feel like I was unraveling. "Did you cancel everything?" "Yep. All of it." Ryan let out a low whistle. "Damn." I nodded, eyes on the floor. "I'm not just breaking up with her. I'm stepping out of an entire future I thought I wanted." "You didn't lose anything, man," Ryan said. "You dodged it." I didn't answer. My brain was still catching up. But somewhere deep down, I knew he was right. Stephanie wasn't the partner I thought she was. She didn't want love with guardrails. She wanted love on her terms. And I wasn't going to let her write the rules for my life. That night, I fell asleep on Ryan's couch, exhausted. But for the first time in a long time, I didn't wake up in a panic. I woke up with clarity and a long road ahead. 2 days after I canceled the wedding, I woke up to my phone buzzing nonstop. Missed calls, texts, app notifications stacked one on top of the other. I ignored them all until Ryan walked into the living room holding out his phone. "Bro, you need to see this." He handed it to me, and there it was. A black and white photo of Stephanie and me at Lake Tahoe last fall, her head on my shoulder, both of us smiling like we didn't have a care in the world. The caption read, "Some people throw away real love over money. I guess you never really know someone until they show you who they are. Hashtag heartbroken, hashtag still in shock." My stomach twisted. That post had over 700 likes in under 2 hours. Dozens of comments. All the sympathy pouring in for her. "You deserved better, Steph. So sorry, girl. Men are trash." Wait, Jason? Seriously? He always seemed off to me. It didn't take long for the vultures to start circling. People I barely knew were tagging me in angry posts or sending me DMs laced with thinly veiled threats and pity. My own cousin commented, "Wow, man. If this is true, I've lost a lot of respect." I didn't respond to any of them. Ryan glanced at me. "You good?" "Yeah." I stood up and tossed his phone back to him. "She's playing the victim. She's controlling the story." The post wasn't for her. It was for everyone else. She wanted to burn the house down and make sure I was the one holding the match. The day dragged on. Every hour brought another wave, screenshots, TikTok clips, even a story on someone's relationship podcast. People love watching a train wreck, especially one wrapped in romance and betrayal. Around 4 p.m., I got the call I didn't want but expected. Ronald. Her father. "Jason," he said, voice low and controlled, "we need to talk." I didn't say anything. "You've embarrassed my daughter. You've humiliated our family. You have no idea the damage you've caused." I let him talk. He was pacing, probably standing in his stupid backyard with a cigar like he always did when he felt powerful. "This isn't over," he said. "If you think you can walk away from this like it's nothing, you're wrong. Fix this. Today." I smiled, even though he couldn't see it. "No," I said. "This is done." He barked something about reputation, loyalty, and consequences, but I had already pulled the phone away from my ear. I didn't hang up. I just let him keep talking to himself. That night, I sat on the balcony at Ryan's place with a beer in my hand and my mind buzzing. Not with regret. Not even with anger. Just a steady, quiet awareness. Stephanie didn't love me. She loved the idea of us. And now that I wasn't playing along, she was rewriting the ending, turning herself into the victim, and me into the villain. But I knew who I was. And I was about to remind them all exactly who they were dealing with. The next morning, I got another call from Ronald. "I don't think you understand the damage you're doing," he said the second I picked up. No greeting, no courtesy. "I understand just fine," I said. "You think this little tantrum of yours is going to end well?" He snapped. "Do you know how this looks? A broken engagement, a public smear, and now you're hiding out like a coward." I almost laughed. "I'm not hiding, Ronald. I'm done. There's a difference." "You're being selfish," he growled. "Do you have any idea what this is doing to Stephanie? Probably less damage than she's doing to herself." Silence on his end. Then he tried a new tactic. "This isn't just about you and her. This affects our family's reputation. My company, my name, people talk. Then maybe you should have taught your daughter to be honest before she weaponized social media." He went quiet for a beat. "If you don't fix this, I'll make sure people know what kind of man you really are." I hung up. Not even an hour later, Deborah called. Stephanie's mom. Her voice was soft, too soft, like the calm before a storm. "Jason, honey, I just want to talk." I didn't say anything. "She's heartbroken. I've never seen her like this." "I don't doubt she's upset," I said. "But being upset doesn't make her right." Deborah sighed dramatically. "You boys and your pride. All we're saying is maybe there's still a way to fix this. She's willing to sign now. The prenup, I mean. She's ready to make it work." That caught me off guard. But not for long. Funny how she's ready after dragging me through the mud. She was emotional, Jason. People make mistakes when they're hurt. Yeah, they also make choices. And she made hers loud and clear. "You're being cold," she said. "I'm being smart." Then she tried guilt. "You were like a son to us. I can't believe you'd turn your back on us after everything." "You mean after everything I built? That she tried to shame me for protecting?" She had no answer. "Just a week. You'll regret this one day." Then came the knock. I opened the door, and there she was, Stephanie. Puffy eyes, no makeup, hair pulled back in a messy bun. She looked smaller than usual. Quieter. "Can we talk?" she asked. I let her in, mostly because I wanted it over with. She sat on the edge of the couch like she was afraid it would bite her. "I'll sign it," she said. "The prenup. Everything. I'll do it. I stayed standing. Why now? Because I don't want to lose you. No, I said. You don't want to lose the wedding. The lifestyle. The version of me that lets you call the shots. Her jaw clenched. That's not true. It is, I said. Because if you really wanted me, you would have signed it the first time. You would have trusted me. She stood, voice rising. I made a mistake. I got scared, okay? But I'm here now, saying I'll do what you wanted. And I'm saying it's too late. Her face dropped. You're really going to throw it all away? I already did, I said. 3 days ago. You just didn't realize it until now. She stared at me, and then, just like that, the tears disappeared. Her face twisted with rage. You arrogant bastard. You think you're some prize? No, I said, walking to the door. But I know I'm not a fool. She stormed out without another word. And for the first time since this whole thing started, I felt free. It started with a few bad reviews. I didn't think much of them at first. Every business gets the occasional angry client. I ran a tight ship, but you can't please everyone, right? Then more came in. Fast. Unethical behavior. Shady contracts. Owner is a liar and a cheat. Most of them didn't even make sense. Generic complaints, inconsistent details, and some that were straight up fabricated. One review claimed we ghosted them after promising a mobile app delivery. My company didn't even offer mobile app services. My gut clenched. This wasn't random. This was coordinated. I spent the next 3 hours going through every review, tracing usernames, checking timestamps. Half of them had been posted within the same 48-hour window. A few had usernames linked to burner Gmail accounts. One of them was literally named JSucks2025. Real subtle. It didn't take a genius to connect the dots. Stephanie wasn't just trying to wreck me emotionally anymore. She'd taken aim at my livelihood. And I had a strong suspicion her family was helping. Clients started calling. At first, just to ask questions. Hey, saw some weird stuff online. Everything good? But soon, the tone changed. We're going to pause the rollout until things settle down. Legal needs to review some things before moving forward. We're stepping back for now. In 1 week, I lost 3 contracts. Long-term ones. 6 figures total. I sat in my office, staring at the wall, my hands clenched into fists on my desk. The panic came first, tight in the chest, choking. But then something else bubbled up underneath it. Anger. They thought they could destroy everything I'd built. That they could throw a tantrum and take me down just because I wouldn't play along. Stephanie, Ronald, Deborah, none of them knew what I'd sacrificed to grow this company. The all-nighters, the years of ramen and rent I could barely pay, the blood and sweat it took to earn every damn client. They were messing with the wrong guy. I picked up the phone and called Ryan. Hey, he said. You okay? No, I said. They're going after my business. His tone changed immediately. You serious? Dead serious. Bad reviews. Lies. They're tanking my reputation. I already lost 3 clients. All right, Ryan said. We fight back. That night, we started laying the groundwork. Ryan pulled up old defamation case files and walked me through what we'd need. Timelines, evidence, connections. I started screenshotting everything. Logged every fake review, every suspicious name, every post. I even found one left by L. Stewart, Stephanie's cousin, Lauren. It mentioned a specific back-end bug we had already patched months ago. The only people who knew about that were internal. That was the proof I needed. I wasn't dealing with some random smear. This was calculated. Personal. Stupid. Because now, I had a paper trail. They thought they could scare me. They thought I'd fold. But they didn't realize I built this company brick by brick. And if they thought they could knock it down with lies and tantrums, they were about to learn how expensive that mistake was going to be. The next morning, I met Ryan at his office. He was already at his desk, sleeves rolled up, legal pads scattered everywhere. This is war, he said. I know. We got to work. Ryan had been my closest friend since college, but now he was also my lawyer. And a damn good one. The first step was compiling evidence. Every fake review. Every timestamp. Every username. We highlighted the ones that matched known associates of Stephanie's family. The review from her cousin, Lauren, was the smoking gun. She mentioned a system glitch that only existed for 4 days, I said, pointing at the screen. We fixed it right after. The only person I told about it outside the team was Stephanie. She was pissed because I canceled dinner to deal with it. Ryan nodded. That's enough to establish insider knowledge. Which means intent. We drafted the first cease and desist notices that day. 1 to Lauren. 1 to Stephanie. 1 to Ronald and Deborah. All of them cited defamation and tortious interference with business. The lawsuit would follow. But this was the warning shot. Meanwhile, the emotional toll was starting to creep in. I'd wake up at 3 a.m. some nights, heart pounding. My brain constantly buzzed with what ifs. What if I lose everything? What if the damage is permanent? I'd stare at the ceiling for hours, thinking about the years I spent building something I could be proud of, only to watch it attacked out of spite. All because I said no. but I didn't let it break me. Instead, I doubled down. I brought in a PR consultant to help contain the fallout. We started flagging the fake reviews and filing complaints with the platforms. Some got taken down, others didn't, but it was a start. Then, during another late-night review session, Ryan leaned back in his chair. You ever think she's doing all this because you embarrassed her? Stephanie, I asked. He nodded. She lost control of the narrative. She's trying to get it back by tearing you down. I don't care why anymore, I said. I just wanted to stop. Then we finished this. We filed a lawsuit 3 days later. Defamation. Interference with business relations. Intentional infliction of emotional distress. It was aggressive, but fair. We also requested discovery access. We wanted emails, texts, even social media DMs between Stephanie and anyone tied to the reviews. I knew that would rattle them. And it did. Within a week, Ronald's lawyer called Ryan. He tried to open a dialogue. Translation. They were scared. They should be. They messed with my name, my business, my future. And now I wasn't just the ex-fiancé they thought they could push around. I was the guy who brought lawyers to a knife fight. The settlement talks were scheduled for a Thursday morning in a downtown conference room with floor-to-ceiling windows and bottled water that probably cost more than my weekly groceries back in college. Stephanie walked in with her parents flanking her like bodyguards. She looked tired. Not the picture-perfect woman from her social media posts. Her makeup was minimal, her eyes red. Ronald wore his usual smug expression, but even he seemed a little deflated. Deborah avoided eye contact entirely. Ryan and I were already seated on one side of the table. Calm. Prepared. Our folders were stacked neatly in front of us. Theirs were messy, bulging with printouts and scribbled notes. The room was silent for a few moments. Then Stephanie's lawyer, some gray-haired guy named Wells, cleared his throat. We're here to resolve this amicably. Ryan didn't blink. Then let's start with the damage. He laid out the numbers. Contracts lost. Clients pulled. PR cleanup. Legal fees. He had it all in a spreadsheet, neatly totaled and broken down by date. Wells shifted uncomfortably. That seems aggressive. Ryan smiled politely. That's what defamation and coordinated sabotage looks like. Aggressive. Stephanie finally spoke. I never told anyone to attack your company. I looked right at her. But you knew they were doing it. And you let it happen. Her voice cracked. I was hurt, Jason. I didn't think they'd go that far. But they did. And you didn't stop them. She didn't respond. The negotiations dragged for hours. Back and forth. Lowball offers, rejected terms, raised voices. Ronald tried to puff his chest, but Ryan shut him down every time with cold precision. Deborah kept interjecting with emotional appeals. You two were supposed to build a life together. This is tearing our family apart. But I didn't budge. Eventually, reality set in on their side. They were cornered. We had the evidence, the timeline, the coordinated links. Even Lauren's review had been quietly deleted once the lawsuit was filed. Too late. Screenshots were forever. By the end of the day, we had a deal. They agreed to pay damages, just under $200,000. Every fake review would be removed, and a signed apology would be kept on file, sealed but legally binding in case anything resurfaced. And most importantly, they agreed to a non-disclosure agreement. No more public posts. No more comments. No more whisper campaigns. We stood to leave. Stephanie didn't move. I didn't want it to end like this, she said quietly. I paused at the door. Neither did I. And that was the truth. I hadn't wanted revenge. I hadn't wanted any of this. I just wanted peace. Protection. But they pushed, and I pushed back. Now, as I walked out of that room with Ryan by my side and the papers in my hand, I didn't feel victorious. I felt empty, but also free. Sometimes justice isn't about winning. It's about knowing you didn't let them walk all over you. And for once in my life, I had drawn the line and held it. The news spread fast, even though it was all supposed to stay quiet. People talk. Word gets around. In business circles, among mutual friends, on whisper threads and group chats. Everyone knew something had gone down between me and Stephanie. They just didn't know how deep it went. The lawsuit, the settlement, the NDAs, it all stayed sealed. But consequences don't care about secrecy. Stephanie lost her job 2 weeks later. Her marketing firm didn't give a public reason, but I wasn't surprised. Once the lawsuit hit the system, even in private, her name came up in HR meetings. She'd been trying to play power games behind the scenes. People like that always leave a trail. She posted a final Instagram story, no face, just a quote in cursive letters. Some people will hurt you and act like you hurt them. Then her account went silent. Ronald and Deborah didn't fare much better. A couple of their high-profile friends dropped them from joint ventures. One local charity board Ronald chaired suddenly restructured. There were rumors about ethics questions and conflicts of interest. They tried to spin it, of course. Said it was all a misunderstanding, that the lawsuit had been blown out of proportion. But people knew. You can't attack someone's livelihood and expect to walk away clean. As for me, I kept my head down and rebuilt. My business was still standing. We lost some momentum, but the clients that mattered stayed loyal. New ones came in, slowly at first, then steadily. I hired a PR firm to help clean up the public side of things. We refreshed the branding, launched a new campaign, and I personally reached out to every client we'd lost. Some came back, others didn't. But the company survived. And so did I. Emotionally, that was the hard part. I started therapy, not just because of Stephanie, but because of what it all dredged up. The way I'd been over backward for people. The way I let love make me blind to red flags. I had to face that part of me too, the part that had ignored warning signs for the sake of comfort. I haven't dated since. Not because I'm bitter, but because I'm cautious now. I don't trust easily. I ask more questions. I protect what I've built. And honestly, I'm okay with that. Sometimes I still think about Stephanie. Not with anger. Not even with sadness. Just a quiet detachment. Like looking at an old photo from a life I don't live anymore. She taught me something in her own twisted way. Love without trust is just a story waiting to fall apart. And next time, if there ever is one, I won't make that mistake again.